All
Good
right.
morning, good afternoon, and good night. This is Blind with your next episode of the Player Dev podcast. I have a really interesting guest of mine, someone who's become a pretty good friend of mine. I would say we're good friends, right? Good
Absolutely.
acquaintances. Someone
Yeah.
who's become a good friend of mine in a relatively short amount of time. We have Jordan coming from Esports Healthcare, the organization. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. I've had like a rocky day, so it's like been jumping around all over the place. So it's nice to just sit down and actually have some conversation here. I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you ahead of hand. Do you have a hard out? Like, is there a certain time that you have to bounce by?
No, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
free. I'm all yours all night. So if you want to talk for
great.
4 hours, let's do it.
Beautiful. Awesome. Let's do it. So I think the best way for us to start this conversation is really for me to just ask you about esports healthcare. Because one of the things for me when I was starting out this podcast is like, it's cool to talk to like TFT players who are the ones who play our game, and that's really like the community we started from. But
Mhm.
I also want to talk to people who are outside of the TFT space and more in the gaming space and more in other aspects of our lives that I think we all need more awareness to improve in. So something that was pretty apparent for me early on was to talk to like a healthcare professional of some sorts, because honestly, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I really appreciate you coming on here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy. I'm happy to be a part of it. Anything that I can do to help, I'm your guy.
Amazing, thank you. So what's esports healthcare all about? I mean, how did you guys get started? Like, what's the motto? What's the mission? Give us the wrap.
So
Give us the
it's
pitch.
actually pretty interesting how it came to be. I went through chiropractic college from 2012 to 2015. Dr. Corey, who's the owner of the company, same thing. And then we have Dr. Dan, who's another chiropractor who's part of our company here. And then we have a couple of the team members, which I should bring them up. There's Dr. Jess, she's a naturopath. We have Shannon, who is our mental health, expert, and she's amazing. I don't really get a lot of opportunities to speak with her because she's rather busy with her own practice. And then there's another team member, Mina Stempfel. I think that's how you say her name. I've actually never met her, never spoke to her, so I have no idea. But she's also another mental health expert. And so, how the company kind of came to be from Corey's standpoint when he wanted to create this was he's a gamer, gamer through and through. His game is Halo. If you ask him, do you play video games? He'll say, yes, I play Halo, and that's literally it. He does not play anything else other than Halo. So it's frustrating for me because I'm like, hey, do you want to play Fall Guys? You want to play Among Us? Anything,
No,
and zero
Halo.
interest. So I'm just like, all right, and I'm terrible at Halo. Like they're like, oh well, the timings. I'm like, I literally don't play video games like that. I just play to have fun, right?
Yeah.
And so I can't get too much into Halo. And then we have some behind the scenes guys. There's Cameron Quinn, and he's actually an ex-pro Halo player. We're talking in the days before before Discord, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Like he was
Yeah.
traveling to go to tournaments. There was no
Wow.
virtual tournaments, nothing like that. Yeah. So it's cool to
Yeah.
have him on the team. And then we have Evan, who is our videographer and our photographer. But and he's if you ever get an opportunity to talk to him, he's probably one of the funniest people I've ever met.
That's great.
So I'll definitely try to get him on here with you so you can talk to him.
Sure, I would love to talk to.
But in terms of the company's getting its idea right, and so in chiropractic college, in my last semester of school, right, so chiro school is 4 years, so in my 8th semester, I was writing scripts for a YouTube series,
Hmm.
and it was called The Out of Shape Gamer, and it was just kind of teaching gamers how to how to exercise between games, during games, just kind of keep themselves mobile and healthy. And
Hmm.
I'd spoken it to Corey, and he, kind of talked to me a little bit about what his plan was, and it wasn't fully evolved in his mind, I think, at that point.
Hmm.
And after I graduated, I kind of lost touch with everybody, as you do. And he had reached out to me a short while after, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm starting my own practice." We kind of talked a little bit, then radio silence. And then in 2019, I want to say, I got another text from Corey. He's like, "Hey, man, do you want to go to a Halo tournament in Atlantic City?" And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I don't want to play." I was like, "But I'll watch. Like, why not? Like, that sounds
Yeah,
great."
come, yeah.
And he was like, "Oh no, you misunderstand." He's like, "We're gonna treat." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm down."
Oh, okay, okay.
And he was like, all right, well, I can't pay you. I was like, yeah, I don't care. I was like, I just want to
That's fine.
go.
Yeah, I don't want to
Let's
go.
do
Let's
this.
do it. Yeah.
Right. So, so we go to this tournament in Atlantic City, and it was awesome, man. Like I met Snipe Down, I met Saiyan, I met Pistoly, Frosty. Like I met a bunch of like pro Halo players. I mean, and I felt bad. He's like, I'm working on it. I'm like, hey man, like I think it's awesome what you're doing. It's like, but I'm gonna be straight up. I feel terrible. I have no idea who you are. And every single one of them laughed because I didn't. I had no idea who any of them were. And so,
No, nobody who's listening to this is gonna know who any of those
yeah,
guys are.
exactly. So I was like totally clueless. I was like, I don't know who you are, but I was like, this is awesome. Like just totally fanboying over like dealing with pro gamers because like
Right.
as a kid, I played. And I was like,
That's like,
ah,
yeah,
like
that's
this
the
is
holy grail,
fun
right?
little
You
hobby.
you want to be one of those people, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, like you do this for a living. I hate you, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so so after that day, that 3 days, I should say, because we were in AC for 3 days. Um, Corey started asking me if I wanted to write some papers or pages for the website, and it just kind of evolved and steamrolled. We were doing a weekly video podcast, very similar to this one, just kind of talking about our what we thought the community wanted to hear, and we kind of
Hmm.
backed away from that and just kind of
Hmm.
really focused on the website, and we're very proud of where that you know grew into. And then we started reaching out to actually that's a lie. Corey wrote a huge write up on G Fuel
Mm.
and whether or not it, and just kind of really not even whether or not it was healthy. It was more so a breakdown of the ingredients and what they do and don't do.
Yeah, I ended up watching the video, by the way. Yeah, I
And what'd
saw
you
the
think?
whole.
What'd you think?
You were definitely right about the UN scripts.
Oh
Definitely
yeah,
right
oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's just not good. I just can't do it. I can't.
But you're
And I
great
was like,
here.
guys, like,
Off the script, you're
can I just,
amazing.
yeah, it's like, can I just not be in this? Like, just put me in the back. Like, hey, I'm here. Um, and so he reached out to G Fuel after
Hmm.
writing up this massive page, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like we think this is great. Let's partner." And then I said, "Okay, well, let's reach out to Hyperice, which I don't know if you're familiar with that company. They make a lot of recovery tools,
Yeah.
and one of the
I'm
things
not
they
too
make,
familiar with it, but just for the people who aren't like who have no idea who these guys are.
yeah, they make recovery tools, and by recovery tools, I mean it's mainly like self muscle care. So like they make foam rollers that vibrate. They make
Gotcha.
like almost like a softball sized ball that vibrates for soft tissue work. Then they make the massage guns, which everybody knows those. Um, I was like, let's reach out and see what happens,
Hmm.
right? And they were like, actually, funny enough, we're trying to get into the gamer sphere,
Ah.
and we don't really know how to do it. Can we
Hmm.
like partner? And we were like,
Hmm.
yeah, like I've been using your products forever. This is fantastic. Like, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And so then we got a couple other, people we're, paired with. We have Gamer Advantage, which is a blue light glasses company, which we'll talk about that in a little while.
Yep.
And then we have Mueller Sports Medicine, who makes a variety of kinesiotaping, braces, things like that to kind of help aid injury.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell people that I have a second job in gaming, they're like, "Oh, what injuries can gamers get?" And I laugh, and I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of sounds silly, but it's not." I was like, "The stress that gamers are put under is, immense. Whether it's mental and physical, because our sport is seated,
It's
and
seated and
sitting
it's
is not,
mental. Yeah.
yeah, and we're just not designed to sit." And
Yeah.
so, back to your question is like, what is esports about? And it's really it's providing mainly education for gamers about their bodies and how to be healthy and health and wellness,
Hmm.
and it's hard because when you ask people like, oh, and this is kind of going back to some Twitter stuff, that we joke about in our Discord, where it's like, oh, just eat healthy and sleep more. Okay, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what does that mean? And no one really has an answer.
Yeah.
And so that's been our goal, is to kind of teach you like, okay, so you have elbow pain. This is what it could be. These are the involved tissues, whatever. And we've broken it down basically body part by body part, so that you don't need to dig through the website. It's right there. Click the drop down menu. Oh, my thumb hurts. Boom. Click it. Done.
Hmm.
Oh, my eyes are bothering me. Eye strain. Done. And so it's really mainly, like I said, about educating gamers and really anybody that visits the website about their body and what could be ailing them.
Hmm.
And then the second part of that is like when we went to the tournament, if there's a massive tournament somewhere and they want a health and wellness team to make sure the gamers are healthy, you know, diet plans, all this kind of stuff, even teams. Like, we're here. It's what we do. Like, we interviewed Attach in the Call of Duty League, who has been kind of a client of ours. We work with him. If he's got issues, we talk to him, and he's been ecstatic about it. He's says all the time on his stream that he does our warm up video daily,
Hmm.
for your hands. And for
Yeah.
any gamer, I think that that's paramount, because without your hands, I mean, you can game, but you need them to game. It's
Hmm.
very difficult without it.
Hmm.
So that's basically kind of the story of esports healthcare and what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's also immensely important, right? It's interesting to see that as I've been doing this more and I've been talking to more people, the amount of gamers that I've met within the span of 2 months who either uh, have major injuries that prevent them from doing anything else, so they game, or have been gaming so intensely that they've developed injuries is absolutely mind-boggling, right? And I think the biggest thing for me that is the most apparent problem is for example, like in the world of professional sports, like even something that's not super physically intense, like golf, for example, right? Like if you are playing golf and you're an athlete, if you have a day where your ankle feels kind of funny, they will not let you play, right? They'll say rest, take the day off, go recover,
Yeah.
right? And it's golf, right? It's not even like NBA basketball. It's nothing crazy, insanely active, right? But however, on the flip side, when it comes to gaming, it's like, oh, my wrist is hurting me a little bit today, but I'm just playing video games. I'm just sitting down, so it's no big deal. So I'm just gonna push
Yeah.
through
So
it,
I'm
right?
just going to play through it, and it's no big deal.
Yeah,
No, absolutely. And it's crazy to me to hear that, because like you said, any other sport, you know what? My elbow hurts. I'm not going to play baseball today. Well, maybe that's a good
yeah,
idea. Maybe you should go get
yeah.
it
It's a
looked
good
at. Where
idea. Yeah,
gamers like, oh, my thumbs bother me.
yeah.
Whatever. I'll just keep playing. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
stop being
that
a
that makes
pussy.
total
Yeah, like
sense to me.
and
Yeah,
that kind
exactly.
of
Like, I'll just play through. It's not a big deal. I'm
yeah,
like,
just play
well, it
through,
is a
right?
big deal, but
Yeah. So so within the context of your website, right? Like, how do you think that people should be using it, right? So let's say, is it really like a kind of like a self, because I'm cautious about WebMD, right? Like I think that's a reoccurring joke on the internet. Is like if you ever
yes.
have a symptom, never
Oh, absolutely.
WebMD
It's
it
dangerous
because it's always going to lead to like cancer, right?
because it
Like it's
turns into
always,
cancer and you're going to die.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it always leads to something immensely
So,
bad.
so So I have the website up on my left here on my other screen. So
Hmm.
basically what you should be using is, I'm going to go to physical health, right? And so in
Hmm.
the first thing, one of the first drop downs we have, and it's actually not a drop down, it's a box, hand and wrist health. I'm going to click that right here. And it's going to break down, it's going to comprehend warm up, cool down, hand and wrist injury prevention, additional resources, which mainly is just uh, defining like grip of controllers and things like
Hmm.
that. And so I'll go into claw grip, and it really just breaks down the anatomy.
Okay.
That's really our goal, is to kind of be like, hey, you use claw grip, great, but do you know what it is? Do you know what you're doing when you're doing that? What joints are involved? What muscles are involved? No?
Right.
Okay, well, here it is. So this way, when either if you reach out to us, privately, or if you're in the Discord just asking a question, we can say, okay, well, this is the direction I would do personally, right? Because if
Hmm.
you're on the Discord, you're not a patient, right? So I can't give you medical advice. Legally, I cannot do that.
Right.
So basically, I'd say, like, okay, like, if it were me, this is what I would do. Ice and heat, stretch, do the warm up, blah, blah, blah. And if that doesn't work, then I would seek professional help, meaning either
Hmm.
reach out to us privately, on the website, and we will we'll create that doctor patient relationship, and we will help you. Or, oh, you don't want to do it virtually. I get that. I totally understand. So, where do you live? Oh, you are in Miami, Florida. Okay, great. Where in Miami? All right, fantastic. Let's look and see if I can find you a chiropractor, a physical therapist, somebody that I am confident is going to be able to help you and treat you. And I've done that. Like, one of our clients that we had online was in South Jersey. He's about an hour and a half from me. And I, pointed him in the direction of somebody, and I keep meaning to reach out and I just keep forgetting. But I said, I was like, if this doesn't work out for you, if this chiro is not good and you don't like him, reach out to me. Come up and
Hmm.
see me. We'll make a day of it. Like, I'll take you out to lunch. We'll talk, blah, blah, blah. We'll do whatever. And so that's kind of what it's about. I don't care if you come and see me, if you come to me for help. I don't care. I just want you to get help, right?
Hmm.
Because I've seen far too many times where streamers are like, oh, you know what, no stream today, my back's hurting. Or you know what, I'm 23 years old and I'm retiring from professional gaming. What? What? You're 23 years old. In a perfect world, you can play video games till the day you die competitively.
Hmm.
I don't see a problem with that,
Hmm.
right? So this early retirement because of injury should not be happening in gaming. It just
Yeah,
should not be.
yeah, yeah. So within our game, uh, so it's funny because within the context of it, League of Legends started off as a mod for a Warcraft. I believe it's Warcraft 3, right? So the
Yeah, it was
Warcraft,
Warcraft 3. Yeah, it was the hero. It was Hero Wars. I remember
yeah,
playing that.
so Dota, right? And then
Hmm.
TFT became a mod off of Dota, which is funny, right? But when we're talking about like League, right? The game is so intense. The game is so intense that it's very common for us to see injuries in a lot of the pro players, right? And I think like the most notable thing was there used to be a pro player named Uzi, who played probably one of the most mechanically demanding roles in the game. And you play essentially mobile League of Legends, so he played ADC, right? And
Yeah. So what was his? Oh yes, hard pass from me. No, thank you.
yeah,
That's too much responsibility.
yeah. So he
I'm
played
a tank.
ADC.
Just
Just run at
yeah.
him,
So
right?
yeah. I'm a
But
tank. Just beat me up and I'm good.
but he was regarded as one of the best, right? Like literally one of the
Hmm.
best players in the world. And near the end of his career, he ended up retiring, pretty young age, right? And he claimed that his doctor told him like his hands were in the state of what he would expect for somebody that was like in their mid 40s, right? And he was still young 20s when this happened,
Hmm.
right? So it's interesting because I think this is
Yeah.
almost like it's almost like the smoker lung analogy where it's like you can't really see the damage that's happening, right? You can't really self-diagnose
Hmm.
and know what's going on until it hits a certain breaking point, right? So I guess to phrase this in a question like
No, absolutely. You're right, and it's
go ahead, go ahead.
not good. You're good. Finish your question. Finish your question, and we'll go from
Thank you. I
there.
appreciate it. So I guess like the phrases in the question, like how do you how would you give context of how important is it to actually take care of like your hands, for example, right? Because when we're just playing games, the average person would think like, is I'm just playing games. I'm not doing anything crazy hard.
No, absolutely, and it comes down to, we were talking off stream about how I wrote that article for that magazine
Hmm.
and on ergonomics and gaming, and hand health is exceptionally important, not just for gaming, right? Because so right, you just picked up your water bottle, right, and took a drink.
Hmm.
Do that without your hands.
I got elbowed,
Exactly.
man.
Exactly. Like you would be using your wrists. People think like, oh, well, it's just because it's the gaming, it's not a big deal. No, it is. Your hands play an integral role in your day-to-day life,
Hmm.
right? Again, I was having a conversation with a patient about their thumbs. Do anything without your thumbs. Literally anything without your thumbs. You can't do it. You
Hmm.
cannot fathom how to do it because you've used had thumbs your whole life, right?
Right.
So when it comes to hand health, gamers need to be exceptionally careful in assessing, like, you know what, my hands feel a little tight today. Okay, why? What happened today? Did you drink enough water? Did you exercise? Did you not exercise? Did you maybe hit your hand up against something? And become more aware of these things. And then just like with golf, tennis, football, soccer, what have you, right? All those players warm up before they set foot on the field. They warm up. So when I say to you, all right, so you're going to warm up for your gaming, what are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to jump in and you're going to be like, oh, I'll just play a quick, classic
Yeah.
game, not play too hard, and just kind of go through the motions. Like, that is not a warm up. That is
Right.
literally not a warm up,
Hmm.
right? And that's why we have the gamer warm up on YouTube and on the website. Just kind of taking your hands, your fingers, your wrists through all these different motions to get the muscles prepped for the demand that they're going to be placed under, right? That's the idea behind a warm up. Now, people are like, oh, well, I stretch. Congratulations. You shouldn't be stretching during your activity. You should not be. You should not stretch before it. You should not stretch during it. You should stretch
Really?
after. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Why
because
is that?
you're actually more prone to injury
Oh.
because the muscles are not warmed up appropriately. Now, if you do the warm up, then yes, please stretch. Just kind of let everything open up a little bit, lengthen, and then go about your game. That's okay. But if you
Mhm.
just stretch beforehand and then go to play, you're setting yourself up for more injury, which we
Wow.
don't want that, right? Because that makes our
Yeah.
jobs harder to help you.
Right.
Um, and yeah, and like me personally, like we talked about off stream, I've been playing a lot more Mobile Legends, so it's on the phone, right? And so I have my phone right here. Like this is how I play. And when I tell you my index finger knuckles are killing me after about one or two matches because
Hmm.
it's just not an advantageous position for your fingers.
Right.
It was to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to make something like an Xbox controller grip or a PlayStation controller grip that goes on the back of a controller. Well, somebody already thought of it, so that's
Right.
cool. But um, just because like a rectangle, thin rectangle, is not ergonomically sound for your hands, so it makes it
Right.
hard to hold it. And I played on a
Right.
tablet, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit better, but now I can't play the way I want to play. So that's why it's important to do these warm ups. And I'm guilty. I don't do it every time, right? I'm human. I'm just like, you know, I just
Hmm.
want to play. I don't care. And then I
Yeah.
kick myself because my hands are killing me, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah. If you're gonna be concerned about your hand health, you definitely need to be doing the warm up, and then click around on the website, educate yourself. And even if you don't use our website, just
Hmm.
Google hand anatomy. Look at your
Yeah.
hands, see how they work, see how they're supposed to work.
Hmm.
Because if you know, it's like, you know what, I can't bend my index finger all the way. Okay, well you have a problem. Go get it looked at. Right?
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Right.
So that would be my, at least my 2 cents on when it comes to hand health and being aware, right? It's all about awareness.
Hmm.
Be present, right? You need your hands for everything. So if they're bothering you, assess why, or have
Yeah.
somebody else do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Ever since we first connected, I actually started doing the hand warm ups before
There we
I
go.
actually play, and it's funny because like I do notice a very big difference into it, and I'm not sure if it's more apparent because I'm getting older in age for me, and I became type 1 diabetic about 3-4 years ago, so like I'm starting to build more awareness in terms of like mobility of joints and how it feels, but. Uh, Definitely like the hand warm-ups for me have definitely been making more of a difference, and it's not just like with gaming, but it's just like using the computer in general. Like I find it's a lot easier to just type and write up
Just your day to
documents
day
or
life.
yeah, exactly. So I'm actually kind of curious on, do you know like any statistics of like uh injury just using the computer? Because for most of our audience it's pretty much just computer. If you play TFT on mobile, please don't talk to me.
I
But
so I'm gonna keep quiet that I play Mobile Legends and it's all phone. But
no, it's
no,
a
yeah.
joke.
In terms of statistics, honestly, I don't have any statistics, and I would have to reach out to Dan, who is our research guru. You need something
Mhm.
researched, Dan's your guy.
Sure.
In terms of statistics of computer use and injury among gamers, right?
Right.
I don't know that the research would be that specific because if I'm being honest, the medical community does not care about gamers. They do not care
As
about
I
you.
figured, yeah.
You
As
know,
I figured, yeah.
and we're trying to change that. We're trying to
Mhm.
be your foray into healthcare. Um, so yeah, I don't have any statistics on that, unfortunately. I just kind of
Mhm.
go by what my patient base talks about because a lot of my patients are office workers and office workers are on the computer. So I
Right.
kind of use them as my anecdotal evidence for when I'm talking on a stream or talking on a
Mhm.
podcast because it's applicable, right? It's everyday people. Right now, they're sitting at a computer and doing work for 8 hours. They're not doing intense, you know, competitions, practices, just trainings of gaming. So it's a little different mental aspect,
Mhm.
but the stress on the body itself, not the mind, is still the same, right? And one thing that I found is a lot of the times it's when you look at what is bothersome to gamers. Obviously, we have our hands, but fortunately, our hands are pretty resilient. Through our lives, we use them. We do the, you close your hand in a door, right?
Hmm.
5 minutes later, what are you doing? You're using your hand as if you had not done that. Why? Why is that?
Hmm.
Because we're so programmed to use our hands that it just goes away, right? The,
Right.
the, the problem is still there, but the pain kind of decreases because you need to use your hand,
Right.
right? But a lot of times what I find with gamers is that headaches, neck pain, low back pain,
Hmm.
sciatica, things like that. And that's really what seems to bother them. And that comes down to the ergonomics of gaming, right? My camera's not, far enough away to see, but when you're playing on console, right? And I know we're PC gamer here, and I get it, we're adults. Um, but what do? You lean on your knees with your elbows and you come forward like this.
Right.
In what way, shape, or form is that good for you? What is this little
Right.
gremlin, hovering over a
Yeah.
controller so you can do whatever it is you're doing, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
we've just developed these terrible habits, and then, companies like DX Racer come in and they develop a gaming chair, right? And it's a racing seat. I
Hmm.
did a nice write up of their chair, breaking down its usefulness, its resiliency, and like this chair that I have here, I've had, I don't know, must be 8 or 9 years. It looks like it's brand new. The cushion's still hard, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's in at the end of the day, it is a racing bucket seat, right? As if they took it out of a race car and put it on wheels and said, "Here you go, gamer, enjoy." Right? And that's
Hmm.
fine,
Right.
right? And people are like, "Oh, well, you got a good gaming chair, so you must be a pro gamer." It's like that. Literally, I hate that argument. Just knock it off, right?
Why does that
Knock it
exist?
off. Exactly, because you're like, "Oh, well, you have a $300 chair, so you must be an elitist." Like, nah, I like it. It's comfortable. That's what it comes down to, you know.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have people like say, "Oh, well, you should get a Herman Miller chair." I'm like, okay, like I could do that, but I also don't want to spend $700 minimum on a chair. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't happening.
Yeah,
So,
I always find the discussion when you go chair shopping that inevitably always happens, right? Is just like
yep.
people look down on you for spending $200-$300 $400 on a gaming chair, and then they just automatically jump to the Herman Millers. It's like, it's forget the gaming chairs, just spend $2,000 on a Herman Miller, have it for life. It's like,
Yeah, so my computer
yeah,
is the same price as my chair. That's a hard pass, you know?
exactly,
So
yeah.
I never understood that argument. And then the next
Mhm.
argument is, oh, well, a racing chair is very restricting and you can't
Right.
move. Okay. So am I doing backflips and somersaults in my chair while I'm playing? No, I'm
Right.
sitting. I want it to hold me in place so that I don't slouch and do this and sit, So
Yeah.
I never understood the arguments. And like, oh, well, there's no lumbar support and there's no, neck support. Well, yeah, you're right. Whose fault is that? It's the companies, obviously, but you as a community and gamers need to speak up and be like, hey, go on Twitter. That's where gamers are, is on Twitter. I don't get it. I do not get Twitter. But like at DX Racer, at Respawn, at Secret Labs, at whomever, be like, hey, where's the lumbar support? Where's the
Mhm.
neck support? And then like, this is the answer because I have it right here because like, oh, well, we have our neck pillow. Like, thing's useless. It's
Yeah.
literally useless. And for those of you that aren't watching, I threw the pillow because I'm annoyed by it. Um,
So since we're into
because,
it, right? Let's talk about gaming chairs, right? Let's talk
yeah,
about like we've already mentioned, like we're not doing flips, we're not doing gymnastics. Like we want something that straps ourselves down. This has been a conversation that you and I have had previously, right?
yeah.
But what is like what is the advantages or disadvantages of having a gaming chair when it comes to um, ergonomics? I just completely forgot the term. I blanked out there, right? And like I have a neck pillow
That's
too,
okay. So
right?
when it comes, yeah.
Right?
So
Like is
I
the neck
actually
pillow?
used that neck pillow for a while because I was like, personally, it's not for me.
Mhm.
I started
Okay.
using it, and when I tell you, it felt like my neck was going to explode after like 4 or 5 days of use. I was like, all right, this
Right.
thing's got to go, right?
Hmm.
Because what it does is it pushes your head forward. It doesn't support your neck. It doesn't, right? But I also don't think that we should be relying on a pillow or anything like that for that reason, right? You should be doing that yourself with your muscles,
Hmm.
right? Now, when it comes to your lumbar spine, yes, I want a lumbar support there. And to my knowledge, and I could be wrong here, but to my knowledge, the only one that's done that in terms of adding an adjustable lumbar support to their chair is Razer. They
Hmm.
did it. And I think they did it in conjunction with Logitech. I could be wrong there,
Interesting.
but if I remember
Interesting.
correctly, they did that. And it's actually an adjustable lumbar support.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is amazing. I was like, all right, let me see how much it is. It's like, oh, $600. Like, nah, sorry, not
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
You know?
I do know. I
So
do know
it's,
Secret Labs does have one, but it's only for a certain size, which is a little. It's a little iffy for me. But
I'm going to bring it up over here because I want to see. But yeah, and like that's what needs to change is they don't, in this article that I wrote for the, is like, are these companies paying attention? And I don't think they are. But at the same time, I don't actually blame them for not paying attention because what's going to happen is, okay, so now you want lumbar support. Now you want, neck support. Like, okay, well, that costs money. Research and development costs money, and that's going to fall upon you and I as the consumer. And that's just
hmm
the way it
hmm
goes, and that's fine. But it it needed to happen from day one, right? Look at your car seats, right? And your driver's seat. Does it have an
hmm
adjustable lumbar support?
right,
Yeah,
right,
I mean, in most new cars now come standard with it. It's just there, right?
yeah,
Because they listened to their people finally. Like, you know what? People spend a lot of time in their cars. They're going to get back pain from it or what have you, whatever.
hmm
Let's try to mitigate this. Let's try to help. Just like
hmm
heated
hmm
seats. Heated seats are probably one of the best inventions in vehicles ever because it helps keep your muscles relaxed. Yeah, it keeps you warm, keeps your butt warm. That's great. But it keeps your muscles relaxed. And so I think that these companies really need to pay attention to what is going on with gamers and listen to the people in the community, whether it's us, at Esports Healthcare. There are a number of other
hmm
providers, in the, space trying to create this change as well. And I think that if they just listened for a fraction of a second,
right,
the gaming community as a whole would be a lot healthier. And so in terms of ergonomics, yeah, I mean, they have the adjustable height for the arms, the chair goes up and down, the back goes forward and back. But like I said, it doesn't have the proper lumbar support. And I think that that is so important for gamers, especially if you're going to be doing an 8, 9, 10-hour gaming session. You need that lumbar support. You need
right.
it.
Yeah. What difference does the lumbar support make? So for an uneducated ape like me who knows nothing about how to take care of themselves, right? What difference does the lumbar make?
So what it's going to do is it's going to support the curvature of your spine,
Hmm.
right? So for someone who may have maybe a less than optimal core strength and coordination, that lumbar support is going to help to protect your spine. So just like when you are doing, a heavy deadlift or a heavy squat, and you see people wearing a weight belt, right? One of those leather belts on their back.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. Some people use it in entirely wrong fashion, but it is supposed to help support your core and your lumbar spine to help aid it in protecting your spine. And the same thing can be said for the lumbar support. It is supposed to help you. Right now, it's not a crutch. Right? You can't just rely on it forever to protect your spine. You need to be taking an active role. And a lot of times, what I tell people to do if their chair has it or if their car has it is set it up so sit up nice and tall in your chair, set it up the way you like it. Or my recommendation is to have the back tilted back like 10 to 15 degrees at most, and then have the lumbar support move forward, and as soon as it touches your back, you're done. Because now you know it's there. And if you start to notice, like, you know what, there's a gap between my spine and the lumbar support. Yeah, it's because you're getting lazy. Activate your core, sit up straight, and push it back into the lumbar support, and you will be doing exactly what its job is. And it's almost as if it's a cue. Like, hey, there's space here. Use your core, protect your spine. Boom. As soon as you realize that, it's done. It's very similar to like
hmm
using kinesio tape. Kinesio tape doesn't help with pain or support or anything like that. And if anybody tells you it does, they're full of crap. It does not. It literally does nothing for pain. But what it does do is it helps to create a cue in your skin. Right? It's like in your skin will say, "Hey, this is stretching. It shouldn't be. Tighten up." And your muscles will tighten up and it'll support whatever region of the body that it's supporting, right?
hmm
And so the same thing can be said for that lumbar support. It's more so there to cue you to be like, "Hey, activate your core, push into this lumbar support so we're protecting ourselves." That's what your body's trying to tell you.
Right. Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, and that's actually nice to know. There's a way for me to use this as opposed to just trying to find a
Just
nice
putting it
place
there.
where
No,
yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
slots
yeah.
on my back, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
that's and again, that's another issue I have with these tools. It's okay, well, here's your lumbar support, here's your adjustable arms, here's your tilting arms. You can twist them, you can push them back. Great. Where should I be? What should be there? What like no one ever says that. It's never
right.
told you're never told what to do. And so again, I hate, website, but on our website we literally have a step-by-step guide on how to set up your gaming station, whether it's console, PC, it's literally there. It's all applicable. And I even have my patients like, oh, like you work in an office? Great. Here's your new favorite website. Go to the set it up, and then they come back to me the following like, oh, I did it. I feel amazing. I'm like, huh, it's almost like I know what I'm talking about. Uh, so
So, is there a chance you can give us like a quick 30 seconds of how to set up your gaming chair and your setup for ergonomics, or is it just like
oh,
go to
absolutely,
the
yeah, it's
website?
easy,
All
easy,
right,
yeah.
let's
So
hear it. Yeah.
essentially, setting up your desk and your chair. All right, so we're going to start at the feet, and we're going to work our way up. So your feet should be flat on the floor. Knees and hips should be at a 90-degree angle, right? So your knees should be bent straight down, hips, and then so the 90-degree angle of the hips is a little tough because of the way I have you set up the back of your chair. So start at 90 and then tilt the chair back 10 to 15 degrees. All right. Your elbows should be resting 90 degrees as well. So your keyboard and mouse should be a good distance away, but enough to keep that 90-degree bend in your elbow. Then your monitor, the top third of the screen should be at eye level because it's easier to glance down than it is to look up. Because if you look up, you're going to look up with your head itself, not just your eyes.
Hmm.
Then the size of your monitor. So for me, I have a 24-inch monitor. So right now it's a little bit too far away, but when I'm playing, it should be 24 inches away from my face so that I'm not doing this and bringing my
Hmm.
head forward and increasing that curve of my upper back and increasing the curve in my neck. That's kind of like a quick gist of it. And then on the website, it literally breaks down. It shows you how to do it and all these different kinds of things. But that would be my quick guide to setting up your gaming station.
Gotcha. So I know a lot of people, especially me. I'm one of these. I'm one of these culprits where after a long period of time, like I'll alternate how I sit. So like I might start that way, right? But then I might do something where like I'm like on my side and like I've tucked one leg underneath the knee and I'm kind of like lounging. Like
Yes.
what kind of is that bad for us? Like how detrimental is that? Because it feels great. It feels great in the
It's
moment,
not
right?
well, it's relaxing, right? Because essentially if you really look and break down what relaxing means, it's being lazy. Relaxing is being lazy. It's
Okay.
the truth, and I'm guilty of it. I do the same thing. Like I'm leaning on my desk right now, you know?
Right.
It's because we're trying to give our muscles that break because they're burning or they're tired. Okay, yeah, that's good. But the muscles that are along our spine and the back, their job is literally to hold your spine up. That is what their job is. It's like when I correct I bring them into a more optimal posture. I sit them upright, I bring their head back, roll their shoulders back, and like, wow, this hurts. Like it literally doesn't hurt. It does not hurt. Your muscles are burning because you don't use them this way. Stop being a baby.
Hmm.
And over time, when they start doing it, they go, wow, you know what? I actually kind of feel better. Like I don't have headaches. I'm like, huh, imagine that,
Right.
right? So yeah, it's essentially I understand the comfortability of sitting with your leg up and kind of leaning off to the side. It's being lazy. It's giving those muscles a break, and that's okay. But if you're going to do that, so if you bring your left leg up, okay, make sure you bring the right up afterwards and then resume back to the normal position.
Hmm.
Because if you don't, you'll start creating these imbalances, right? And these imbalances are then what lead to kind of functional movement problems in general, muscle activation issues, which then lead to pain, right? Which is what nobody wants, right? Pain interferes with literally every aspect of our lives. So, kind of keeping balance in our body is paramount because it's going to help to reduce the stress created by these imbalances.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I remember just reading about like weird cases where people have done weird things, like even like having a big wallet in the back of your pants, right? And
George
how that
Costanza wallet.
yeah, yeah, that just has like it creates an imbalance over time, right? And it actually like can create some serious problems. So
Absolutely.
if I'm not sure if I'm hearing this correct or if I'm just incredibly wrong, right? I know a lot of gamers, including myself, like we develop like a little bit of a slouch, right? And I'm assuming that's from that exact cause that you just described, is like not sitting in the right position to train those muscles. With with like a extended period of time with more emphasis on the positioning of how you sit, do you think like does that fix like a slouch, or is there like additional exercises that would need to be taken?
So making those changes to your setup are definitely going to create improvements. You're always going to kind of revert back to this forward lean, right? That's just because obviously you game. The closer you get to the screen, the better you play, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Um, so that's always going to be there because it's almost like that intensity. Like, yes, I need to get closer because then I can see everything. It's like you can still see everything sitting back, but I get it. I game. I get it. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's definitely exercises that you can do to correct these things. I've had people ask, like, oh, what if I get like this posture brace? I literally tell them, if you come in here with that, I'm going to throw it in the garbage and you are never going to get it again because it creates yet another problem. Because, like, yeah, well, if I tighten it really tight, it pulls my shoulders back and I feel like I'm in good posture. I'm like, that's great. You're not using your muscles. So your muscles are going to further weaken. And then when you take it off, you fall into even worse posture and it creates yet a greater problem, right? So taking a more active role in correcting these things via exercise, positional changes will far outweigh the benefits of any kind of brace or support. Truthfully, that's really what's going to happen. So if you just, the main takeaway of that is do it yourself. Do not rely on a brace.
Gotcha.
and
Yeah.
now, and now,
Okay.
there are cases when a brace is necessary, right?
Hmm.
If have trigger finger or rolled your ankle, yeah, wear a brace, for a short time, and then take it off and go about your regular day, right? I'm not
Right.
saying braces are useless. They have their time and their need, but when it comes to gaming and posture, a brace is not the way. It's not the answer.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. And I'm also curious about this might be more on like the worker side of thing, but I'm someone who's worked from home for many years. What's your thoughts on like a standing desk?
I think they are amazing. And if you want to take it one step further, excuse me, get one of those treadmill desks. Like that's
Mm,
amazing. You're
I
literally
wish.
exercising while you're working.
Yeah. One day.
Like how is that not? And even still, you can make it yourself. Just go get a treadmill, put a desk around, it, and you're good to go. Um, but no, yeah, I think a standing desk is great. People are like, yeah, I got one. I'm just really not sure what to do. I'm like, well, what you do is you pick it up and you stand and you do your work. Um, which is like the questions I get
It's-
sometimes, man. I'm like, how? Like, what are you thinking? But
yeah. It's
but yeah, I know. I think they're amazing. And one thing that people forget to utilize when they get these, standing desks is you need to get an anti-fatigue mat, right? Because
mm,
I really do hate that name because it really doesn't make any sense to me. It does
yeah.
and it doesn't at the same time. Really, what it does is because a lot of times if you're in an office setting, the floor is usually tile or concrete with maybe a very thin layer of carpet over it, right?
Hmm.
And so that's not very forgiving of your joints, right? It's bad for your feet. It crushes the joints in your ankle. And so by using this anti-fatigue mat, it's like a cushion. It's basically what it is a glorified cushion, and it just helps to soften the blow on your joints. And so if you're going to get a standing desk, I always suggest getting an anti-fatigue mat just to reduce some of the stress on your body from standing.
Yeah. And do you think like if you have like carpet at home, like proper carpet, do you think is that enough, or would you still get like an anti fatigue mat?
um Honestly, I'd probably get the anti-fatigue mat just to make sure. I mean, obviously, try the carpet first and see. And if you're like, you know what, this isn't too bad, I can stand for like 3 or 4 hours and I don't have any issues, great, then do that. But not everybody's the same.
Right.
Somebody might be able to stand for 10 hours before feeling something, and somebody might stand for 10 minutes and then start to feel
Hmm.
discomfort. So it's you kind of have to feel it out yourself. But to answer your question, I would always recommend having an anti-fatigue mat handy. And I'm
Gotcha.
pretty sure you can get them almost anywhere anyway.
Yeah.
So
Just a quick Amazon search. I'll probably buy one after this show.
Amazon or,
Yeah.
or even Bed Bath and Beyond, honestly, I'm pretty sure they have them.
Sure, no problem. Shout outs to Bed Bath and Beyond. We're looking for sponsors. So I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to ask you when it comes to like ergonomic setup and handheld and anything like that.
Yeah,
Uh, let's move more into like the kind of like mental health. I know you have a little rap sheet to talk about when it comes to the term like tilting, right?
I
But
do. Yes,
when we talk about like health, right? For me, I imagine like it's a balance of the physical and the mental, right? And I feel like
yes,
I give this
absolutely.
explanation like every day, where it's like, we're what we do when it comes to gaming is not a very physically demanding sport, but the inverse is that it becomes an extremely mentally demanding sport. So
Absolutely. And we'll start with your question about tilted, right? We're going to start there. We'll get that out of the way.
yeah, yeah. So
So, tilted, triggered, these terms, I absolutely hate them because they are literally describing being annoyed, right? That's really what it comes out as. Oh, that annoys me. Like, okay,
mhm.
so why not just say that instead of, oh, I'm tilted, I'm triggered? Like, why? Why say that, right? Like, yes, I understand, and we can talk, mainly about like, League of Legends, and we'll just say MOBAs in general, right? If one member of your team is not doing their job, whether it's the jungler, whether it's the ADC, or it's the tank just roaming around doing nothing, right? And they go, oh, I'm tilted, or I'm triggered because I can't play the way I want to play. Okay, well, it's one game. It's literally one game. Use it as a method of practice, right? So say, I don't know, maybe your tank gets demolished, right? He just gets hyper focused. Everybody takes the tank out. Now what? Now you don't have a tank anyway. Figure out a play style where you can pick off members of the other team, right? Or same thing could be said in like Call of Duty, or I just watched the trailer for the new Battlefield, which I don't know if you did or not yet. Please do, because it's literally everything that Battlefield encompasses. It's amazing. Um, but oh, you know what? This guy keeps sniping me. Okay, well maybe stop going around that corner. How hard is that? Go around another corner. Go find another way to get him. Right? You are the maker of your own mental realm, right? So if you're getting upset and that bothered by somebody literally playing the game a little bit better than you or smarter than you, that's on you,
Mhm.
right? You should be taking the time to study the map or study the play style of other players in that map, right? And I personally don't take gaming that seriously. When it comes to the MOBA, I've been getting there because I'm actually getting good at it, so I'm enjoying that, right? But when it comes to your mental state, like, yes, everybody gets annoyed, everybody gets mad because of another player or their own play style, and there's this, I guess it's just encoded in us where it's like, all right, I'm on a 3 game like lose streak. I'll just do one more. I lost the
Yeah,
game. I'll just
just a
do one
one
more.
more. Yeah, just a
Yeah.
one more. This is the
And then
one.
and then you win and then you win. You're like, all right, one more.
Yeah,
And then you lose. Right?
yeah.
And then you lose and then you're mad again. So it's like you're creating your own misery. Like, for the casual gamer, which I'm sure most of the listeners are, it's just a game, right? And I know that like that triggers people, but it literally is just a game, right? It's going to start over in 15 minutes and everybody starts from square one, right? Because getting mad or annoyed or angry or whatever word you want to use to describe your mood will only negatively affect you, right? Because now you're thinking about how you're mad and not focusing on, oh, I'm not last hitting, right? I'm not getting that extra, 10 gold per last hit versus just getting the kill itself, right? So that's on you, right? Just play, enjoy, be in the moment, right? Gaming, from what I remember, is gaming was kind of like just like literally that, a game, and then it became an escape, and now it's become this, oh, well, I have to be the best of the best, and listen, right? For those of you listening who say that to yourselves, and this is not me trying to be mean or a jerk, but if you're not the best of the best already, it probably ain't happening, right? There are people like Shroud and Ninja, and they are literally the best. You have to beat those people. And I don't know if you've ever watched Shroud play, like Call of Duty or anything like that. It makes me angry because the way he plays is if he's using an aimbot, and it blows my mind. I mean, I know he's not, but it's like, how did you see that man's barrel, the hair of the barrel sticking out around that corner?
Yeah,
How did you see that?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Or just like your timing in League of Legends. Like,
right,
how did that guy know that I was going to come out of that patch of grass and I was going to ult? And all he did was move, listed lazily to the right, Star Wars quote there, and I lose. I'm dead instantly.
right, right.
How? Right? It's because they know the game so well. And yes, you can get there, but it doesn't just happen. You need to study, right? Gaming has become so advanced in mechanics and thought and play style that it's just been ascended to another level. That's why it's an esport now. It's not just gaming, it's esports. It is a sport,
Hmm.
right? And so if you're not in the right mental state, right, if you're starting to get annoyed because your teammates aren't playing right, maybe it's time to call it a night. End your stream, change games, do something else for a little bit, come back to it, and then try again, right? Losing 2 hours of gameplay is not going to kill you. I promise you. I promise you, because I lost out on almost 4 years of playing games because of Cairo School, right? And I'm still enjoying gaming. I love it. I have fun, right?
Yeah.
You need to. Basically, what it comes down to is don't take yourself so seriously.
Hmm.
It's just a game. Just play, enjoy,
Hmm.
relax.
Yeah.
There's a couple of streamers that I enjoy listening to that are very much about mental health and just kind of putting yourself in the mindset. And I'm going to throw out one of their names, and it's She Snaps. Even just listening to her voice calms me down. So for me, that's awesome. And just listening to their conversation, talking to her chat, they're just awesome people. So definitely try to find something like that, something that's going to calm you down, whether it's music, talking to somebody, listening to a streamer talk. I think that's really important for gaming as a whole, is to make sure that you're in the right mental state. Because if you're not going to perform. If you're not going to perform correct, the way you want, you're just going to pile it on and just get more and more upset and angry, and it's just going to create this cascade of, all right, well, now I don't want to play this game because I hate it. It's like, do you hate it, or are you just in a bad mood? What is it really?
Yeah. So for us, it's really a luck based game, right? And for newer players, or even if you're just excuse me, even if you're just having a bad time, right? This luck can really dick you, or at least it feels like it can
Oh,
really dick you, right?
absolutely.
And it can be frustrating because I know if you're not in the right mindset, uh, the only thing you can focus on is really just how the game is just not giving you what you want, right? And we do have a lot of casual listeners, but we also do have a lot of people who are actively participating in tournaments, people who are actively trying to
Hmm.
climb the ladder of esports, right? So I guess really, I'm just asking for like more insights when it comes to like stress. Like, are we doing anything like when we play a video game and we get stressed out and we get upset? Is that actually like impacting our health, or is it just like a purely mental like?
I would say it's definitely impacting your health, right? Right. Stress is detrimental to us as humans. It throws off our cortisol levels, which then starts to mess with literally everything, right? So that's not okay. And so, like we talked about off stream, this is not a very strong point for me, but I tried to, educate quickly on this so that, because I still work during the week, so it's hard to kind of get all these things in. But yeah, no, stress is detrimental in all aspects of our body. And as humans, for whatever reason, right? Where do we carry our stress? In our neck and our shoulders, right? You say everybody start to like shoulders up, they're rock solid, right?
Right.
It's because stress has a very physical effect on our bodies, right? And so being able to get it under control is so important, And so, like you said, if you're starting to get upset over the game, take a break. What is 5 minutes? What is 10 minutes? Go for a walk. You got a dog? Go for a walk. Go do some push-ups, something just to get that energy out, right?
Hmm.
Because it's only going to hurt you, right? Your negative energy is not going to affect me playing if I'm in a good mood. Like, yeah, I might be annoyed that you're not playing well, but
Hmm.
like I said before, there will be another game. I'll get over it, but it I wish Shannon was here because she would be. I would just sit here and cross my arms and just listen, listen to her talk. Which I will reach out to her and see if we can kind of get you a gaming and stress focus talk.
Shit, that'd be
Um,
amazing.
Oh, absolutely, because she's, like I said, she's fantastic. But yeah, I would. You need to find coping strategies for stress, right? And I can rattle off 1,000 different types of coping strategies. One of which is gaming. For me, it's gaming. Um, but until you find what works for you, it doesn't matter what I say or what you say, right? You have to find your own method. Maybe it's doing some deep breathing exercises. Like I said, walking your dog, doing some exercise. Go do the dishes. You need to do something so mindless that your brain just empties. And then you can come back and go, you know what? I feel better. I can play better, and really progress your status in esports or the game itself.
Hmm. Hmm. Cool. Yeah, I do recall us having a conversation at the beginning about stress and cortisol, and I understand that that's like not your forte, but it just felt
Mm-mm.
natural to the conversation, and that's
No, of
totally fine.
course, of
I
course.
appreciate the transparency, absolutely. Um,
No, yeah. If
so
I don't know something, I'm going to straight up tell you.
appreciate it. So I guess like really the best way to go here or from here is really just like about sleep, right? I think sleep is severely underrated. It's also something that I struggle with quite a bit. There are weeks where I am just fantastic with it, and then there are also weeks where I'm just
Hmm.
horribly bad with it. Uh, so, what do you think people should know about sleep? First off, like, what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to it? Because among gamers, right? I mean, the whole it's you know what it's funny is what's funny is that as I've been doing this podcast more, um, when I inevitably ask for us to like find a time with a guest for somebody to come on the show, uh, more often than not, they will say to me, "So would you rather do this at night or if you want, how about degenerate hours, which we're talking like past midnight, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. Right?"
Yeah.
So it's pretty prevalent. So what do you think like most people are not getting about sleep?
So the one thing people are not getting about sleep is, and I was just as guilty of this for a very long time, is that I'm good on 5 hours. I'm not tired. I'm not tired. I'm like, you will be, um, right? 8 hours of sleep is needed for everyone. Okay, I don't care who you are. Oh, well, I sleep for 3 hours. No, you don't. That's literally not sleeping. That's like a small nap, right? You need to get your 8 hours of sleep. That is a must, right? Then you look at the next part of that. It's like, okay, so, I know one thing you want to talk about was how do you set a sleep schedule, right? So, setting a sleep schedule is pretty much routine and habit. That's on you. If you're going to bed at 1 a.m. tomorrow, 10 o'clock tonight, 12:30 on Saturday, like you're throwing your body for a loop. It doesn't understand, right? Our bodies are very primitive in that aspect, is it doesn't understand. It's trying to create these patterns to help you, right? So if you're throwing it off by going to bed at, multiple different hours, times, it's not going to like it, right?
Hmm.
And eventually, you'll do that. I sleep for 4 hours, sleep for 4 hours, and then what happens? Sunday comes around, and what happens? Oh, I woke up at noon. It's like, your body's telling you something, right? So you have to get that 8 hours. And one thing that's really helpful in terms of getting into a good sleep habit is sleep hygiene. I don't know if you've ever heard that term before.
I have, and I regret having the desk in my room. You see my bed behind me.
See,
I regret this every day. I regret this every day.
so that's part of it, right? Uh, your bed is for two things. We're going to talk about the one. Um, and the one is sleep, right? So it's not playing games, it's not watching TV, it's not reading a book. No, it is for sleep, right? Go on the couch and play games. Go on the couch and read. And if you fall asleep on the couch, that's fine. When you wake up, go to bed, right? Right? So it's putting the phone down about a half hour before you're really going to go to sleep. Maybe doing a little bit of mindfulness or meditation prior, drinking some water, not coffee or anything sugary, as well as reduction of blue light, right? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And one thing that I wish that TV makers would do is a blue light filter, and they don't have it. Your phone has it, your computer has it, but for whatever reason, your TV does not, right? And I still don't understand why, because it's such a small implementation of code that it's not hard. Just do it, right? But I guess because there's not enough call for it. But yeah, so it's those things. If you start to do them at the same time every day, you will then start to create this sleep pattern, and your body will start to produce melatonin at a higher rate. It will kind of get into a more relaxed state and prep your body for sleep. And it's funny that we're talking about this because I literally just watched the movie Awake on Netflix. I don't know if
Hmm.
you watched it.
I have not.
Um, it's literally about sleep deprivation.
Huh.
Something happens to Earth. They literally don't tell you what. And every human on the planet, every human except two of them, um, lose the ability to sleep.
Hmm.
And they kind of actually talk about some of the things that happen, and that you start to get delusional. Your mind goes into these kind of spins. You get angry, because part of what sleep does is it's almost like a cool off period for your brain. It lets it relax, process,
Yeah.
right? And for people who are still in school, sleep is huge, because sleep is when you're going to start to retain the information that you're absorbing, and letting your body and your brain kind of process it and categorize it. And so robbing yourself of sleep, like, oh, I'm just going to pull an all-nighter and study tonight. I've been there. I get it. I've done it. I didn't do any better or any worse on the test. If anything, I probably did worse because I was exhausted, you know?
You always do worse.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So get some sleep, you know? And and then I know that you want to talk about like sleep scheduling, like we're talking about that now. It's you have to create that little 20-minute, half hour routine beforehand, right? So screens off, phone down, charging, drink some water, brush your teeth, or brush your teeth and drink some water, whatever you want to do, because nobody wants toothpaste taste in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Um, do a small mindfulness meditation. If that's not your thing, like that's cool. I don't do it every night. I don't do it all the time. I might just close my eyes and kind of relax, and that will put me to sleep. It's really just a way to clear your mind so that you're not like, I had a bad day at work today. Okay? Everybody has a bad day at work. It shouldn't affect your sleep. Just close your eyes. Just relax. Let it go. Right?
Yeah.
If you bring it into
Yeah.
tomorrow, it's just going to create this pattern, right? So yeah, that would be my suggestion to the listeners: is create this little program, this 15-20 minute, half hour little routine, because then your body's going to say, ah, we're brushing our teeth. It's almost time for bed. Got it. So it your body will thank you. Really, it really will.
Hmm.
I,
Yeah.
I've
It.
noticed myself, because I was always 5 hours, I'm golden. 5 hours, I'm golden. And then I've been attempting. It's hard, because I am guilty of staying up late. Like I just finished watching Lost, and I was like, I need to finish this. So I'm watching like 10 episodes a night. Um, so um, when I got the 8 hours of sleep consecutively, right? Because I don't know. Do you have an Apple Watch?
I do have an Apple Watch. Yeah.
So mine's charging upstairs, but I have the Sleep Watch app, and it
Yeah.
literally asks me every morning, "Do you feel fatigued today?" And when I was doing the 5 hours, yep, I feel as if I
Yeah.
didn't sleep at all. Didn't
Yeah.
feel asleep at all.
Yeah.
And as I got more consistent 8 hours of sleep, I would just answer, yep, nope, I don't feel fatigued at all. I feel like I actually slept.
Yeah.
Right. So it was my body telling me, like, hey, man, we're not good yet. Like, get some sleep, because I'm not a napper. If I
Hmm.
nap, it turns into a
Hmm.
sleep, and then I'm
Yeah.
mad because then I can't go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, utilize these tools. I think they're phenomenal. And then when it comes to this is kind of a foray into blue light. I don't know if you have any questions specific about that, unless you just want me to ramble on.
I mean, no, I think like you've pretty much covered it, right? Like the weirdest thing is I find that, and I think this is a similar conversation, a similar a tangent when it comes to like tilting to, or sorry, getting annoyed, right? Is it's hard to tell how much it impacts you from one side until you cross to the other, right? Like I have this discussion a lot, like a lot of times, like how do you tell someone that they're tilted? Like how do you tell someone that they're upset and they should stop playing, right? Because 9 out of 10 times they will not listen to you, right? And I think like sleep is kind of the same thing, where it's like if you get 5 hours and you don't want to have that conversation, like I really needed 8, right? people will say like, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay. I just got 4 hours, right?" But like, I really feel the difference between the two, right? And I've done crazy stuff. Like I'll just line my whole windows with tinfoil, and like I'll sleep in like pitch black darkness. I tried that for like a solid month, just like putting electrical tape on any LED light I had, and just like sleeping in absolute black. And like
Hmm.
the first 2 nights, it's like 14 hours sleep straight through, no wake ups in the middle, just like 14 hours sleep, and it's like it feels amazing. It's almost shocking to feel that good when you wake up, right? But if you have never experienced that kind of thing, if you haven't
Right, because you
experienced,
feel refreshed.
yeah, exactly. And it's like you need more than just one good night's sleep to like have it really replenished, right? Like it almost has to be a week and a half or 2 weeks of full rest on like full 8 hours every night. And it's weird because
Yes, yeah,
it's
because
like
you can't do 5 hours one night and then to make up the like, oh well, I'll just sleep for 14 hours instead. Like it does
yeah, I'll
not
just
work that way.
Saturday's
It
coming, I can
just
catch
is.
up on my sleep, right? Yeah. I don't
Like
think it works like
doesn't work
that.
that way. You need to get it now.
So I
So no,
think
I'm with you, and with the light blocking and things like that, like especially blue light.
mhm.
Blue light has its disadvantages and its advantages, right? So with blue light during the day, it keeps you more alert, keeps you focused, but then at night, it interferes with your melatonin production, which is why I said phone down, TV off, screens off, because that blue light will interfere with the production of melatonin, which helps your body prep for sleep. And so I mean, like I said, I get it. Like there are some nights where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to sleep. I just want a game. I just want to keep playing. I don't want to stop. Then I'm like, you got work tomorrow, bud. Like maybe you get some sleep. Um, so yeah, and putting the blackout curtains on your windows or covering up, like 'cause, for whatever reason, I don't know why everything has a light on it now. Oh, you got a little air freshener. It's got an LED light in it.
Yeah, let's put
Why?
a light on it. Yeah.
Why? Why does it need that? Like just squirt out your little scent thing and keep your light to yourself. I don't want it. So, and even like my TV's off, it's got a little glowing red light at me. Like
Yeah.
I get it. There's power to it. We're good. I
Yeah.
don't need to see that. You know?
Yeah. No, everything. Like literally everything. I don't know why. And you bring up a really good point, right? Maybe we just need more demand for people to not have lights and more ergonomic functions. And
Well, and part of
possibly
the
like time will tell.
issue as I agree with you, and I think that these changes are slowly happening because, like, as gamers, RGB makes your computer faster, obviously, um, and so I think that kind of push in the gaming sphere was kind of picked up by other product makers. Like, oh wow, gamers really like that. I wonder if regular people would like it. Well, regular people are gonna like it if it's the only option you give, right?
Yeah.
Like my mouse here. There are lights right there, right?
Yeah.
What do those do? What purpose do those serve other than being annoying?
It just makes
You
your
know?
table look cool, you know? It makes you feel good
Yeah, and
about
even then I can't
yourself.
see it because my lights are on. I don't play in the dark.
Yeah.
So I definitely do, and I think that as a whole, if gamers are truly concerned about their health and bettering themselves and their bodies, then they need to speak up to these product makers, right? Like, and one thing that I noticed, because like my mouse and keyboard now are newer. I think I got them like 4 or 5 months ago. But for a while, was using the same keyboard. Like we're talking like 5 years. I was using the same mouse and keyboard. And when I went to go shop, it was like, well, what kind of mouse do you want? I was like one that clicks, maybe wireless, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, oh, well, do you want the 10 buttons on the side? Do you want it weighted? Are you claw grip? Are you fingertip grip? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I just hold the mouse. Right? So I'm like, all right. It's like I'm sitting here like watching myself move the mouse and play games. And I'm like, I think this is what I am. Unfortunately, I think I found a decent mouse that works for me. But, right. So I commend Logitech, Corsair, HyperX, all these companies for really kind of taking the time and looking at, and it really comes from the pros, right? The pros have the final say. So it's really a lot of it falls on them. And like, okay, well, this person uses the claw grip when they use their mouse, and this person is a flat palm hand. So we need to create a mouse that's going to support their hand, but still allow them to play the way they want to play. And so that has, I think, is amazing, because for people who, have larger hands, maybe a flat grip mouse is better for them. If people have small, more petite hands, they can get a smaller mouse.
Hmm.
When it comes to a keyboard's a keyboard, right? That ain't changing. That's
Yeah.
just what it is. Nothing's gonna happen there. Um, and
What are your thoughts on like those crazy like sideways ergonomic keyboards? Like you use it
where they're,
like
where they're
this, like
like
it's so,
split like this.
yeah, like it's
I
from. There's one too that's like it's instead of flat, it's like flipped horizontally.
Oh yeah,
So
you like yeah.
yeah, it's like a
I
Star
don't
Trek.
know. Yeah, yeah. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what possessed somebody to make that or think of it. I mean, there might be a calling for it, but now with the way that voice to text has advanced, I
Hmm.
mean, I say medical terms and my phone is like, yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, 5 years ago, I had to type it in myself, and now it just, I mean, I switched from Android to iPhone, and like I didn't do anything. I didn't program it. It just knew to do it. And so that I think is really important. Um, and with what uh, Neuralink is doing, Elon Musk, his company with that, that's just literally just not even going to need peripherals anymore. Your brain's just going to do it, which personally can't wait. But no, yeah, and I think that the more that people speak up, like, hey, like, why don't you guys do this? Why don't you, I don't know, make a split keyboard? Or maybe you should angle it sideways, or do this, or make it so I can twist the keys in the keyboard itself. I think that, as a community, we really need to kind of look at one another and be like, okay, what is it that we need? What is missing from our setups? What is missing from the keyboard, the mouse, the headset, right? What is it that we want? And then voice it to these companies, because that's the only way you're going to get change, is by working together.
Right.
And then, so if, you know, you're ridiculing me for having a gaming chair and I'm ridiculing you for not having one, the company's just going to go, I don't care. I'm just going to keep making what I'm making because one of you is going to buy it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So we need to speak up. And I think that that's something that's lacking, is a lot of the times as communities, we're almost against each other,
Hmm.
and that's
Hmm.
that's what's frustrating to me, is because we're all doing the same thing. Just you do it one way, I do it another. We want something in the middle, but it's almost like we can't say it, you know. Whereas like me, I don't care. Like if you go look up my DX Racer write up, at the very end, I'm like, this is what I would change about your product. Like straight
Yeah.
up. I don't care. Like this is
Hmm.
what you need to change to make it better.
Hmm.
And it'll probably fall on deaf ears, and it did, because nothing has changed. Um, but or start your own company. Do it yourself. You make the change, because then if that product catches on, all these other companies will catch on. And I don't know. I wish that we could really work together to create that change, to make gaming a more healthy and ergonomic sport activity, whatever word you want to use, because
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
every everyone else is doing it. Like soccer cleats, you can get orthotics specifically for your feet to put in a specific cleat that
Hmm.
shapes your foot more properly.
Hmm.
Now, again, that is very expensive. I get that, right? I don't need a custom molded mouse for my hand. I don't need that. You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But making, like I said, before, the mouse game has changed. Like it's just going to continue to progress.
Hmm.
And I think that more and more products will soon follow that model. It's just there's no demand for it yet. No company has said, you know what? I know how to change this. I got it. So no one else has tried to innovate that yet.
Right.
But I do think that it will happen. I just wish it happened sooner.
Yeah, it could also be a thing where this we just have to wait for some gamers to get incredibly old, right? Like I mean, once we have a more older demographic of people who are gaming, right? I feel like that need and that obvious buying demand will become more apparent, and then I'm sure it's bound to happen, right? I wish it would happen sooner. I agree with you, right? However, I think that's just bound to happen in 2 or 3 decades, but you wanted to talk about, or you wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about, which was blue light sleep, or sorry, just blue light and sleep, right?
Yes.
I think we touched on
Yes.
it before. Was there anything else you wanted to go into?
Um, Not so much really. I guess just one thing, and I guess I'm kind of shocked at people as a whole that they don't realize that Windows literally has a nightlight setting embedded in the programming that you can program for a certain time every single day. It'll just do it. You don't have to do a thing,
Yeah.
and it's almost a shock. Like I actually turned mine off a little bit because I noticed that if I was playing something like Call of Duty, I couldn't see the enemies because it totally changes the colors, and I'd be like in the middle of a firefight and my screen would dim out and I'm like, I literally can't see anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
Then something like a MOBA, like on the phone, I like, so my computer screen normally I actually have to turn it back on, and my phone both engage a 50 to 75% reduction of blue light at 10 p.m. every single night. Automatically does it, and for a while there I actually was doing 100%,
Hmm.
and man oh man, when I tell you, if I was not near a screen, it affected my sleep. So if I was like
Really?
watching TV,
Yeah.
I actually found that I was more awake. Whereas if I was in front of my computer, like doing work or talking to some friends on Discord, when my monitors would dim out and pull the blue light out, I would get tired instantly because my body. It was almost like I was programming myself to be like, okay, this is what time we need to get ready for sleep.
Right.
And I've since kind of backed it off a little bit for reasons like I said. Um, but yeah, I think that's important. And then, for those of you who don't want to affect it that way, there are blue light glasses.
Hmm.
Um,
So do those
and one,
actually work? Because I've seen them. I've seen people get sponsored by them. I believe in blue light, and I do use the filters myself. But like, what's the consensus on that?
so blue light glasses do work. However, they miss a very key point of blue light, right? Because the way that we measure light is in waves, right? That's how our body perceives light. And so blue light glasses generally only block a fraction of what we need to be protected from, right? And that's because there's such a push for, okay, well, I don't want amber lenses. I want them to be clear. Okay. Well, if you get the clear lenses, you miss out on blockage of blue light. And now, as the technology advances, I believe that we won't need the amber lenses anymore, right? Because for a while there, blue light glasses were only amber colored, right? The tint was there no matter what.
Mhm.
Now you have the option for clear because they've managed to put it in the glass, similar to how like a polarized sunglass works. It
Right.
looks like a regular sunglass lens until you put them on and look at a light in the water, and it cuts right through. It's because it's the way it's blocking the light. And I just think that they haven't figured out how to block the blue light efficiently where it doesn't mess with your vision yet. And I
Hmm.
anticipate that changing. Just one thing that's important to note is that not all blue light glasses companies are the same, right?
Hmm.
There's websites that you can utilize to actually test to see if your glasses block light or don't. Because while I was looking for a pair for a while, I was like, you know what, let me just jump on Amazon. And I clicked around, I did way too much research into blue light glasses for just, something that I was going to use maybe an hour a day. And I found this one on Amazon. I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. Because I also didn't want to spend $80 on a pair of glasses. Like that was one thing I didn't want to do. So I found a two pair pack for like $30. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be straight up garbage, right? So so I bought them. I get them in, and I'm like, all right, like okay, so the blue light thing that they include works, like fantastic. So I put them on, and I'm like, hey, I reach out to Dan. I'm like, Dan, what's that website for checking blue light? And he puts me to it, and I put the glasses on. I'm like, okay, what's supposed to happen? And I forget. This is a while ago now. But what was supposed to happen with looking at the website with the glasses did not happen. So the glasses literally did nothing. I was like, okay, so there were, 3,000 reviews on this. So there were 3,000 people that bought these glasses that do literally nothing.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts my
And
soul.
that's and for me that's so frustrating because it's taking advantage of, and I don't mean to use like this word like condescendingly or in a bad way, but ignorant buyers. They literally don't know. And I hate that. I hate it so much because it's taking advantage of a market that could be amazing and doing literally nothing.
Yeah, yeah. That's with my experience in marketing, that's typically what happens, right? So who can
Hmm.
market it the best, not necessarily who has the best results. So that's unfortunate. But um, I think one of the other questions too that I did want to ask in relation to sleep is, let's say, because I've seen many people try to attempt this in very different ways. Let's say you really want to like fix your sleep schedule because it's been messed up for quite a while, and you know it's messed up, and you want to put in that effort. Like, how would someone go about fixing their sleep schedule? Because I think the most common thing that most people do is they're like, I'm just gonna stay up all night, then I'm just gonna pass out at 8 p.m. and it's gonna be great. Like, that probably can't be the most healthiest thing to do, can it?
Yeah, that's definitely not it. That ain't it. Really, what you want to do is, and this comes with just general health, is one thing. Well, I'm going to ask you the question. I'm going to answer your question with a question. Um, what's something that makes you tired? Give me an example.
Something that makes me tired. You know what? I actually have a red light panel over there. So I mean, we,
Okay, all right,
we
that's not fair.
that might be a
All right,
different
that's fair. That's
discussion.
fair. Not the answer I was looking for, but I'll take it. Um,
Exercise. We'll just say
exercise.
exercise.
There we
Yeah,
go.
we'll just say
Exercise. That
exercise. Okay.
that is the answer. That is the answer I was looking for, right? Because, right, all right, when we exercise, what happens? We burn energy. And
Mm-hmm.
if we run low on energy, we get tired.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who are like, you know what, I struggle to fall asleep before midnight.
Yeah.
Okay. What time do you wake up? Oh, I wake up around 10. I'm like, okay, that's not the best, but I get it. And what's your day? Oh, I wake up, I have breakfast, I go to work, and then I come home and I watch TV and play video games. I'm like, okay, all right, not the worst. I'm not crazy about the lack of exercise, but okay, so let's introduce a half hour of exercise. Okay. Oh, I've kind of felt a little tired around 11 o'clock. I'm like, okay, so we're getting somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So then that's what needs to start happening is introducing good stress, right? Exercise is good stress.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to, one, increase your overall health in general, but also it's going to help to improve your sleep quality because your body's actually tired at an appropriate time, right? So that would be how I would start to kind of reset my sleep schedule. So don't like, all right, well, I'm going to get myself super tired, like you said, and I'm going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. Okay, well, one, you're not 9,000 years old. You don't need to go to bed at 8 o'clock, right? You didn't eat dinner 5 hours ago. That's ridiculous, right? 10, 11 o'clock, that's reasonable, right? At least in my eyes, right? Some people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion. Um, but yeah, introduce exercise, and it's going to make you tired. Like me, like, so unfortunately for me, I'm not a morning person. I never was. So I get up, I go to work, I then go to jujitsu for an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on what time I get out of work, if people want to show up on time or not. And then yeah, that's fun for me. Like, okay, well, I gotta be to class at 6:30, and you show up at 6:30. Like, so now I'm annoyed with you, you know. So, like I'm like getting changed while they're in the bathroom, like treating them in my jujitsu uniform. Like, yeah, this is real great. And so yeah, it's comical. Um, and so and then I get home from jujitsu and I immediately take my dogs for a 3 mile walk, 2.5 to 3 miles, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, I'm tired, right? We're looking at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I have my dinner. Um, and then I unwind. I relax. I play some games. I'll watch somebody Twitch on Twitch stream. You know, or I'll just get in bed and just kind of hang out. And I find that by doing that, because during COVID, I'm probably one of the few people that literally did not create an exercise routine, and I hate myself for not doing it. I just didn't do it. I don't know why. Don't have an answer. I just didn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I find that by doing that, I'm tired, and then on the days I don't do jujitsu, I cycle. So I'll jump on my bike and I'll do 20 miles. I'll do 40 miles. And at night, oh, you bet I am dead to the world. I'm just exhausted because
Right.
my body is low on energy, right?
Hmm.
It needs to relax and replenish, let my muscles calm down. And so that would be, I think, a mandatory addition to your sleep hygiene is exercise during the day. You have to, right? And I'm not saying go to the gym for 2 hours, right? One, if you're in the gym for 2 hours, you're wasting entirely too much time, right? 1 hour, 60 minutes, 60 is plenty of time in the gym. If you can't get your workout done in that 60 minutes, then you need to not bring your phone and you need to not talk to anybody because you're wasting too much time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, implement exercise, half hour, hour, and your sleep schedule will improve dramatically.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool. I appreciate it. I think that's everything that we had to ask for you. Is there anything else you wanted to touch up on or shout out
I
or
think I think the two things we didn't talk about was diet and
Oh, yes, you're right.
exercise. Like we just talked about exercise, but like exercises for pro players, and then diets for gamers as well. So when it comes to like exercise for gamers as a whole, right? I'm going to remove the pro part because I don't think that's fair. Um,
Sure.
is cardiovascular training. Obviously, that's 20 minutes. 20 minutes to a
Hmm.
half hour. That's all you need to do, right?
Hmm.
It doesn't need to be super high intensity. Like go for a walk. I walk 3 miles because if I don't, my dogs are obnoxious and I don't want to deal with it, right? So we walk 3 miles and they're good and tired, right?
Hmm.
And that takes me about an hour ish. So perfect for me. That's kind of a cool down from jujitsu. That's kind of what I use it as. Um, but then resistance training, right? So using weights, using exercise bands, things like that. And I think that's also important because gaming is a nothing sport, right? And so what I mean by that is there's no impact. There's no real physical stress on your body, whether it be running or jumping, right? Like playing football or soccer.
Hmm.
So your muscles are not stressed, your bones are not stressed. And so by introducing weight training, what's going to happen is it's actually going to strengthen your bones because the impact is going to tell your body, hey, we need to deposit a little bit more bone here to strengthen it because of this impact. Um, and then the strength training is going to help to solidify the tendons into the bone, your your ligaments, all these kind of things. And I think that that's and again, I'm not saying go out to the gym and start bench pressing 300 pounds. Like, why? Right? You don't need to do that. Pick up some weights, do some general movements,
Hmm.
and just put your body through a little bit extra stress. And again, it's gonna improve everything as a whole: your mental state, your sleep, your energy levels, all these things. Um, and then we're gonna get to diet. So diet is my favorite, right? Diet, diet, diet. As someone who has an okay diet, right? And this is me being totally truthful with anyone who's listening here, right? I do not eat healthy for every meal. I think that people that eat grilled chicken and vegetables every day for X amount of years are the most miserable people on the planet. And I wholeheartedly believe that, right? Because grilled chicken and vegetables is terrible, right? So, you know, eat good foods, right? So for example, I try to meal prep, a good friend of mine and her husband both own a meal prep company. And I was buying from them for a little bit and I was like, you know what? I can make this myself and save myself a lot of money. And so I did just that. I went and bought some ground turkey, some ground beef, some shrimp. I made my own teriyaki sauce and just all these kinds of things. And I put it together. I was weighing my food and I was actually underweighing. I should have been eating a little bit more. Um, but just find out your macros, right? You can go to any dietitian, and honestly, some websites will even give you a very basic breakdown of what you should be eating, in terms of weights of your proteins, your carbs, your fats, all these different things. And that's really the main three is protein, carbs, and fat. Um, and one thing that I noticed, and again, I was just as guilty of it, is so what is the main staple in a gamer's diet? Do you know?
Probably carbs. Like,
Carbs, but what else? The bigger portion of that question. It's very important.
okay,
Who markets to gamers? What are the two main companies that market to gamers when it comes to food and drink?
I don't really know. Like, I'm thinking like fucking.
Mountain Dew and
Yeah,
Doritos.
I'm not thinking that. I missed it way off. I'm like, okay, I got chips, right? I got
You were
chips.
right. You're right.
I'm saying
Right.
like I
And
don't know,
so
fucking energy drinks and
yes, but
ramen
exactly. But
noodles.
right,
Like,
it's sugar, 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 sugar. Right.
right,
Sugar is
right,
honestly one of the most addictive things on this planet.
for
Right,
sure.
because it's in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's a flavor enhancer. Like, okay, if it's a
Mm-hmm.
flavor enhancer, maybe your food needs to be better. Spice it up a little bit. And I'm not saying don't eat Doritos, right? You can eat Doritos. That's fine. You can drink Mountain Dew. I'm not crazy about it, but that's fine. But if all you drink is Mountain Dew, you're gonna have diabetes. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah,
asking for a problem,
yeah. Then you
right?
can't drink Mountain Dew no more.
Yeah, exactly. And then the same thing with like eating Doritos. Like that's why the joke of gamers and the biggest joke that literally every person that I've ever talked to knows is the fat guy from South Park playing World of Warcraft in his computer like this with his wrist brace on, just like flicking chips off his shirt.
Yeah,
Like eh, that's how the world sees gamers, is these fat lazy slobs that live in their parents' basements with a neck beard. Like we need to
unfortunately.
change that.
Yeah,
And so our diets are going to play a huge role in that. And you can live by the rule of like 70-30. 70% of the time you eat healthy, 30% of the time you don't. That's fine. I'm not saying don't drink alcohol. I'm
hmm
not saying don't drink sugary drinks, don't eat Taco Bell, don't go to. No, you can do that, but it needs to be done in moderation, right? Because if these are the main staples of your diet, your body is going to hate you. I promise you. It's going to destroy it, right? And one thing that people really forget about their body, it is the one home that you can never move out of or replace. Never.
yeah,
You live inside your body
yeah,
forever. And if you
yeah.
don't take care of it, it's going to let you know. And you don't want to be there. You just don't want to be there, right?
hmm
So, have your chickens, your beef, your pork, whatever, right? But more importantly, you have to have your vegetables and, eat in color, right? So it doesn't just mean, oh, I'll just eat chicken and I'll be good. No, you will not be good. You need to eat your greens, your oranges, your reds, your blues, right? Your fruits, your vegetables, all these things, right? And then you need to find that good ratio, and that's why understanding your macros is important,
hmm
right? And if it's a good service, they're going to ask you like, okay, so one, height, weight, date of birth, because it wants your age, as well as what's your activity level, right? And this is a question, one of my favorite questions that I have on my intake form for my office. Because I'll ask people, like, I'll read their intake form and I'm like, okay, so they say they exercise like 6 days a week. I'm like, okay, so let's see if this is true. So tell me your exercise level. Oh, well, my job's pretty demanding. I'm like, okay, what's your activity level? Well, that's it. I'm like, okay, so then you don't exercise. You straight up don't exercise, right? Because your job doesn't really count, right? Your body adapts to that over time, so it's not really that much of a stressor anymore, right?
hmm
So you need to be honest with yourself when it comes to your diet and your exercise, because that's what's going to make sure that you're being healthy and taking care of yourself, right? If you
Right.
lie to yourself, the only person you're hurting is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to the gym for an hour 5 days a week, and the truth comes out, it's like, yeah, I go for like 20 minutes like once a week. I'm like, okay, so to be honest, that literally accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You've accomplished nothing. That's like eating one healthy meal a week. Like, great, you had some chicken and vegetables for one meal. Like, your body was good for like 20 minutes. Um,
Right. It's got to
so
be an average. Yeah.
consistency,
Hmm.
better performance in games, overall health and wellness,
Hmm.
improved sleep, ergonomics, all the things that we've talked about are all about consistency. If you can remain consistent in doing the right thing the majority of the time, you will be overall more healthy. Your body will perform better, your mind will be in a better state, you'll play better, your day-to-day, activities, whatever it is you're doing, everything will be better as a whole. And one thing that we didn't talk about, and we joked about it right before we started, was the most important thing that you can do every day, which is drink water. Right? We have to drink water.
Yeah.
So important,
Yeah.
right? It
How
improves your
important is
energy.
it? Like we hear it all the time, but how important is it? Like what's the
Well, for starters, our body is 60 to 70% of water,
Mhm.
right? So that in itself should be a clue that, like, you know what? Maybe I should drink this, because I get people like, I hate water. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you hate 70% of your body, so maybe we change that phrase.
Oh
And
no.
then it's like, oh, well, I don't like the way it tastes. I'm like, okay, well, water tastes like nothing, so I don't really know how you don't like the taste of it. That makes no sense to me.
Might want to
Um,
get your taps checked out, like
yeah, that at that point.
that might be
So
it.
he's like, oh, well, I only drink, Fiji water. I'm like, okay, well, enjoy spending $10 a bottle. Like, good luck with
Yeah.
that. Um,
What's
but
is
yeah, no,
tea
it's
enough? I know some people who only drink tea. Like, does that count, or
so
does it have to be water?
tea is
Water.
good because it's still mainly water, right? Because tea is just leaves that have been sitting in water, right?
Yeah.
Just like coffee is water that ran through some coffee beans, ground up coffee beans. So, but that doesn't mean just go drink coffee all day long, right? Because that's not the answer either. You need this balance. Again, it all comes
Hmm.
down to balance.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water. And so for me, someone who's about 200 pounds, I need to be drinking 100 ounces a day. Then tack on exercise. So I should be drinking about 120 to 140. That's a lot of water.
What is that in liters?
I
Do you
have no
know?
idea. I have to
This is
look
the
that
problem
up.
with Canadians and that's the problem with Canadians and Americans.
In
So 3.5
liters.
liters. Three point
Oh,
five
look at that.
liters. All right.
Yeah, like
Okay.
that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's no small amount. Let me tell you. Right.
No,
That's
like
no small
like
amount.
this. Honestly, I want to say this is a 32-ounce bottle. I drink
Yeah.
about 3 of these a day,
Nice.
and then I have my G Fuel as my pre-workout. We're going to talk about energy drinks in a minute. Um, and then I drink a lot of seltzer, which you guys saw me drinking it before. This is not soda; it's seltzer. Um, so I definitely exceed my water intake daily. Um, and I find that days that I don't drink water, my body's tired, I'm tired, I don't move well, I don't feel strong. And
Yeah.
so it definitely has its negative effects, and it's hard for people to understand that. It's like, oh, well, it's just water. Like, well, it's not just water, right?
Yeah.
And I try to always find a good example for people, and the one that I commonly use is, meat. But in our current state of the world, more and more people are turning vegan. So it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, you have a good piece of steak. Like, I don't eat meat. I'm like, okay, well then this doesn't work for you.
This analogy does not work.
So so I've changed it to a sponge, right? Everybody's used a sponge and touched a sponge, right? So when a sponge is wet, it's pliable. You can turn it in half, you can bend it, you can pull it, and it doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Now, when it's dried out overnight, if you go to bend it, it's going to break in half,
Right.
right? because there's literally zero water in that sponge, right?
Hmm.
And our muscles behave in a similar fashion, not the same, right? Because there's not going to be no water in your muscles. But a dehydrated body, the muscles aren't going to lengthen properly. They're not going to activate properly because they don't have the the fluid in them to do their job. And so
Hmm.
when you're dehydrated, I mean, look at somebody who doesn't drink water. Their skin's dry, it's flaky, they're wrinkly. And then somebody who drinks their water may be, glowing. And I hate to use that term, but it's true. I noticed
Hmm.
about myself that when I drink enough water, my skin not only looks better, but it feels better. And I know that's kind of a weird description because I don't use lotion on my hands. Like I never did. I don't like it. I don't like the way it makes my fingertips feel. It's a
Yeah.
weird thing with me.
I am
Um,
the same way. I am the same way.
but drinking water, I noticed that like people are like, oh, like wow, you must really take really good care of your skin. I'm like, actually, I don't do anything other than
I
drink
don't
water.
do anything.
I just drink water. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you have good genes.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I literally drink enough water.
Yeah. I've actually received
So
that too. I've actually had compliments of that too, where it's just like I don't do anything, dude.
hmm
I'm probably just drinking water. Like that's
no,
great.
I use my 10-in-1 body shampoo, dish detergent.
Got it on sale at the dollar
Yep,
store.
yep, and
It's
I'm
really
good to
good.
go. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
So yeah, so you definitely need to drink more water. And then people are like, oh, well, what about energy drinks? Like, are they healthy? Are they not?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a loaded question, because some of the things that are in energy drinks are great. They have their vitamins, they have some minerals, but then there's some that aren't, like your added sugars, your fake sugars, and then one thing that a certain company doesn't like to talk about, they get mad about it, lead, you know. And so, but
Yeah.
it's the truth though, because if you are harvesting something from the ground, there are going to be traces of lead. It's impossible not to, right?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, we definitely don't want to be ingesting lead. I get that. But if it is a trace amount, it is negligible. It's not going to harm you, right? You're not going and eating pencils, and they don't even use pencil. They don't even do lead in
Yeah.
pencils
They
as
don't even use
graphite.
lead pencils.
But
Yeah.
that's it. Like lead-based paint. Like we stopped using that stuff because it's so harmful. But it exists in everything.
Hmm.
And when it comes to energy drinks, now, yeah, if you're drinking, I don't like to name drop companies. We're going to do it anyway. Like Red Bull. Like I love the taste of Red Bull. I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I know a
Me
lot of
too.
people think it's
Me
gross,
too. No, it's great.
but
It's so good.
yeah, yeah. It's
It's so
me and my
good.
uncle. Me and my uncle used to joke, and it's the nectar of the gods. It's just the best. So, um, but no, is it the best drink in the world? No, no, it is
Yeah.
not. It is not the most healthy drink ever. It's not. And then there's G Fuel. That's like the primary gaming drink. You watch a streamer, they're sponsored by G Fuel.
Hmm.
Every single one of them are because they're such a big sponsor of games. They're everywhere and they make a good product. We reviewed the product in terms of its ingredients, not whether or not it's healthy, but its ingredients, and we found that it is a healthier alternative to something like Mountain Dew and Red Bull, right? So the key
Hmm.
phrase there is healthier alternative. We didn't say it was healthy, it's just a better option than those two, right? And I'm just using those two as an example because they're more known. Um, Obviously, I would much rather everybody be drinking water, but I also am someone who enjoys something with taste in it. So yeah, maybe I have a soda here and there. I'll have a beer too. I'm human. I like to enjoy things. That's our purpose on this planet, I truly believe, is to enjoy the time that we are on it. So,
Hmm.
if you want to have that beer, if you want to have that taco from Taco Bell, can you tell I like Taco Bell? Um,
Just a bit.
you know,
Just a bit. It's,
you know, do it. Do it. Don't feel bad about it. Just do it. But understand that it comes with consequences, you know? So
mhm.
exercise, drink your water, but also enjoy the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you said it the best. I think it's really just a balance of things, right? Like what is life if you can't enjoy some of its pleasures? And I'm actually like really thankful that you came on the show to have this conversation with me, because I think for a lot of people, and I'm no exception, uh, if you don't care about your health, you won't until something really bad happens, right? And uh, that
Yep.
happened to me a couple of years ago, and for since then on, like it's been more of a priority. I haven't been the best at it, but it's definitely more on the forefront of my mind. And even too, like for people who listen to this podcast and are trying to get better at the game itself, right? Like, um, I don't know how great of an accomplishment it is, but I hit a pretty quick rank in a very short amount of time upon starting the game. You probably won't get it, but I hit masters in basically 3 weeks, right? But to do that, I
I get it. I
used
understand. Yeah. No, that's amazing.
Thank you. But to get there, right? Like I actually really did use a lot of the things we're talking about today, right? I aggressively slept. Like I made it a point to aggressively get more sleep than I usually got. I made it a point to drink a lot more water than I normally would. I made it a point to do some cardio in the morning to get my blood flowing and really play at my prime. And I think when it comes to just competing in a sport in general, especially when it comes to video games, which is all mental, right? Like all of these things do add up over time, right? They make such a big, profound difference over time.
Hmm. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I unfortunately, I mean, I talked off stream about what happened, and it's unfortunate, and I hate to hear that, because like I said, I have my own practice. Be like, really took my health seriously when X happened. I'm like, okay, well, I hate that. I hate it,
Yeah,
right? Because what if you had taken it seriously even a year prior? Maybe it wouldn't have happened, right? And maybe it still
exactly.
would have, whatever, you
Hmm.
know.
For sure.
But the fact that you're taking such a serious stance on it now and trying to be more healthy and take these steps, you know, that's what's most important is you're doing it now, right? You can make these changes, your body will thank you, and you will thank you, you know? And, you know, something that we had talked about a little bit earlier, I think we said it very briefly, is that people kind of like, I don't know where to start. Like, it doesn't matter where you start.
Hmm.
Pick an aspect of your life that you want to change, whether it's your diet, your sleep, your physical activity, or your mental health, right? Pick one, just one, right? And implement it. It does not matter how small it is, right? You could go from, I don't drink any water, to, I drink an 8-ounce glass every day. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you. I am genuinely proud of you. Good.
Small
Maybe next
progress.
week.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe next week you do 2 8-ounce glasses of water, and then 3, and then 4, and 5, and 6, and so on and so forth, right? No one expects anyone to be like, tomorrow I'm gonna drink 100 ounces of water. I'm only gonna eat chicken. I'm gonna go to bed at 9:30. I'm gonna do all these things. That will get old yesterday, right? That will not last.
Yeah.
And that's
And you
why I
won't want
said
to do it.
earlier, no, you won't. You literally
Yeah,
won't. You have to create these patterns. If you don't do it in a slow, controlled manner, it will not work,
for sure.
right? So, like I said, pick one, get good at it, right? And you don't need to get good at drinking water, but you do. Drink your water, right? Then move on to the next thing, right? Then it's okay. You know what?
Right.
I want to eat a little bit better. Okay, good. So let's break down your diet, and I have people do that. I'm like, listen, before we even talk about what you should and shouldn't eat, I want you to either write down right now what you ate for the past 3 days, or the next time I see you, I want a food journal of everything that you ate at what time, blah, blah, blah. And then we can break it down. But you know what? So you had, I don't know, French fries for lunch and dinner. Like I said, I'm choosing arbitrary things here.
Sure. Yeah. I'm with you.
Why did you have French fries for lunch and dinner? I don't know. I wanted it. Okay, I get that. But maybe we have French fries for lunch and then we don't have them for dinner. You know, and then okay, well, I have ice cream every night. Like, okay, I get it. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we have it every other night.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe we have it every other night. And okay, I can do that. Okay, good. in a month's time, like, you know what, I lost like 2 or 3 pounds and I didn't do anything. I'm like, no, you did. You stopped eating ice cream every night. That is doing something.
Yep.
It's like, you know what, I think I could probably eat it like maybe twice a week. I'm like, awesome. Let's do that. See what happens in a month.
Yeah.
And then it's, wow, you know what? I lost 5 pounds. Like, okay, good. Why don't we try exercising for a half hour every day or half hour every other day?
Hmm.
Doc, like my back feels better. My neck feels better. My shoulders, they don't hurt. I'm like, huh? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Like, are you smelling what I'm stepping in? You know?
I haven't heard
And
that
and
second one.
no, that's a good one.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
And and these small changes can create such amazing changes later on in your life if you can just start with the small things. Baby steps are still steps. It doesn't matter if they're small, if they're large, just start, right? Because like we said, what, 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, you got one body, one.
For sure.
Take care of it. It should
Yeah.
be, your temple, your church, your house, whatever you want to call it. Take care of it, nurture it, because you can't get back what you lose.
Yeah. It's I think a lot of people take their bodies for granted, and maybe that's just the also the age we're into, where it's the level of self-confidence that I see these days, and I follow underneath this too, right? Like maybe that's also falls within to this equation of like how much do you value your body. But at the same time too, like um, I wish a lot of gamers that I knew took the approach that they use when it comes to learning games or improving at their games with their body, because you're absolutely right. It's like when you try to do 50 million new things at the same time, it never works out, right? You always want to start with something small, and even if it's in a game, like if you just think about, like, hey, why don't you just look at the lobby? Why don't you just scout the lobby really quick? Like just 5 seconds, just something very small, and all these like little noticeable changes
Hmm.
come after time, and they really do compound, and that's what builds your motivation to be more ambitious with it and try and do more of it, right? And I feel like that's the same thing too. It's like it's really easy for people to overlook something simple like going for a walk after a meal, something super simple like a 5-10 minute walk, right? Like on the grand scheme of things, it makes a
Hmm.
big difference over the long term, and you're going to feel better as it happens, and that's going to give you more energy to want to do more, right? Like we were talking about going to the gym for an hour, like that might be a little bit too ambitious for some people, but just try doing some push-ups for once, right? Like just pop out 10 push-ups and see how you feel.
Yeah, and you don't need a gym for that. Yeah, and
For
that's
sure.
another thing is people, they're afraid. Like, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. No one is watching you.
Yeah.
Now, if you're doing something absolutely ridiculous, which we've all seen those, YouTube videos or Instagram
Yeah.
clips, somebody tilting the whole machine when they're like, yeah, then they're watching you. But if you walk up to the machine and go, you know what, I don't know how to use this, it literally has a guide right there that tells you what to do. And if you
Hmm.
don't know, I promise you, if you go to the front desk and go, you know what, I don't know how to use the squat rack, they'll go, okay, give me a minute, and they will show you how to use the squat rack. That's literally their job,
Yeah.
right? So don't
Yeah.
feel embarrassed if you don't know, because everyone has been there. Everyone has not known something and then known it and then taught someone else. And then you can be that person, you're doing, you're on the squat rack and somebody's kind of looking like, I don't know if I want to go over there. You go, hey, come on. What's the matter? Like, do you not know how to use this? It's fine. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Let me show you how to do this. And I take that approach in jujitsu. Like, I've been doing it for 2 years, not a very long time. But, when a new white belt comes in, and they're like kind of like I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, let's do what you got. Because we do like 7-minute rounds. It's like, okay, you got 2 minutes. Show me what you know, and then I'll kind of refine some of the basic stuff for you, and then we'll do it again. And that's exactly what we do. And they're like, oh, you know what? Like, that really was really helpful. I'm like, good, I'm glad, because this is what someone did for me when I started. Because I was clueless. I was like, I know what guard is, but I don't know anything else,
Right.
And so be that person, right? Don't be the negative guy trashing the new people. Help them, teach them, right?
For
We're,
sure.
we're, we're a community. As a community, we are gamers. Help one another.
for sure. I preach for that all the time. Like I think I'm starting to build a weird rep as a person who's like really too nice. Like I'll purposely like like when for Discord, like some people just crack like insults. Like I do the reverse. I crack compliments. But
I
like
love it.
it's but I feel like that's what it is, right? Like it's about helping each other. It's about spreading information and for a lot of things too. Like I think you said it perfectly. Like somebody did it for me and now I'm doing it for someone else. Like that passing it forward, the world would be so much better if we just pass things forward, right? No matter what it is, right?
I
And
agree with you.
the funny thing too is like I find that usually the most buffest guys at the gym are actually the really nicest guys. Like the guys who wear like the
Oh yeah,
tank and the
they
like
don't care. Like, yeah, what's up? I'll show you how to
ripped.
use this.
Yeah, they're the nicest guys. They're the best guys to like actually like ask
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then the next time you're in and they see you again, they'll check up on you and they'll like correct your form. Like I've had that happen a good number of times.
yeah, and
And
then
it's like,
they become friends, and so
yeah,
yeah, don't be afraid. Ask, and then even then, like we have our Discord, and to be quite honest with you, it's very very quiet in there, and I don't like it, but I also there's really not much conversation to be had, but
yeah,
ask. If you want to know something, ask. Because the worst thing I'm going to tell you is I don't know or I can't answer that. Simple as that. If I'm going to take or I might provide you with a resource that's going to tell you what you need to know,
for sure,
right? And anyone else in that chat that's a part of the company will do the same thing. I promise you. So yeah, if you're unsure about exercise, your diet, anything like that, ask. If you have a friend, ask. What's the worst they're going to say is, you know what, I don't have time right now. And yeah, that's, kind of crappy if they're your friend, but just start. Start being healthy. We've talked about all these different things, and I hate being that guy where it's like, oh, eat better, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, but start. Drink a little bit more water, eat a little bit healthier, and you'll notice that not just gaming, but every other aspect of your life will improve.
for sure, absolutely, absolutely. And that's how I got you on the show. Really, I just came into your Discord and I just asked too,
Yeah,
which is the
yeah, like
best part.
we're friendly, right? Like, I don't care. Like, ask me away. Like, part of the reason why I got into the profession that I'm in, chiropractic, was to help people and educate them.
Hmm.
And if I can't help you in person, I'm going to educate you as best I can on the things that I know to help you get to the next step that you're looking for. And
For
like we
sure.
talked about, like mental health. Like, I'm going to ping Shannon. I pinged her last time she didn't answer me. I'm going to have Corey call her, and get her on here or get her to talk to you or provide you with resources or somebody that you can talk to, right? Because that's, like I said, that's what it's about. I would love to help your entire community become healthier people, not just gamers, healthier people.
Yeah, Jordan, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, of
We're also
course.
coming up close to the 2 hour mark here, so I think we should start signing off. I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of your night, and I also have a large list of tasks that I have to get to, which I haven't yet, which people already pinged before. But we'll
Okay.
put the links to your website, all the articles that we mentioned in the description, and as well to your Discord as well. Is there anything that you wanted to let the
Awesome.
people
Thank you.
know before we head out here?
I guess the main thing is like we were just talking about, like if you're in the Discord or you want to join the Discord, like you'll post that. Talk to us. Talk to the people in the chat. Get them engaged because I try and they don't want to talk to me. What do you guys want to hear about? And radio silence for days until
Right.
one of us comment, like, oh, like I'd like to know about this. Like, okay, well that's definitely planted. You guys aren't stupid. You know that, right? Ask us. Like,
Yeah,
that's how we're gonna help better our content for you. Is if you tell us what you want to know. Tell me,
for
or
sure.
tell blind, which will then forward it right to me, and I will put it together for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny to me because what I've learned in my life, for the very short amount of time that I've been alive for, is the easiest way to get ahead is to just leverage the resources, and oftentimes the most unleveraged resource is really people who are just trying to help, because most people are afraid to ask. Right? It's funny. We have a
Hmm.
Discord. We have
Well,
a
that and
whole
they think
team
they
of
think we're selling them something.
yeah, yeah. Which you haven't tried to sell me anything. I don't even know what you guys have to sell. To be honest with you.
Wow, exactly. That's the point. You want to figure it out? Go to the website. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what's bad. I don't want to sell you anything. I really don't. The only thing I want to sell you on is your health,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
doesn't cost you anything.
Absolutely. Well, Jordan, I love you for it. I can definitely feel it when you and I talk. I can tell you're immensely passionate about this. I know for a fact that this episode is going to help a lot of people. And if they have any more questions, be happy to forward
I'm
them to
glad.
you. Looking forward to any other collaborations we can do in the
Yeah,
future.
I'd love to be on again. Yeah, I enjoyed this very much.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you were on the show. Thank you for coming on. And for you listeners at home,
Of
if you have any
course.
questions you want me to ask Jordan, let me know. Feel free to DM me. Leave your question in the comments. And yeah, I guess we'll be signing off here. Jordan, thank you very much. It was much appreciated.
That sounds good. Of course. And you have a good night.
You as well, sir.